Put a little bit of flavor in there just to make it interesting. Hello you dirty potters, how are you today? Today we're continuing our intermediate lessons by looking at bowls and the different shapes and things you can do with bowls. For me, at least, the beginner section kind of has a lot to do with learning those base shapes, while the intermediate lessons have a lot to do with learning how to play with those base shapes. So today I'm going to show you one of the many tricks I know to morph a bowl and to make it a little bit more interesting. If any of you have been following my work for quite some time, you'll probably remember this picture right here, which for quite some time I sold at anime conventions as like airbender bowls. But truth be told, I just really got tired of making the same bowl over and over again and decided to play with them and kind of gave them this swirly-like effect on the edges. Now before we get started, I should say I'm not going over how to make a bowl in this video today. We're going to make the base of a bowl first, and then we're going to modify it. And this is going to kind of be the motif for the majority of these videos. If I'm showing you guys an intermediate way to play with the shape of a bowl, well, you should know how to make that shape first. So if you don't know how to make a bowl, the link is down below. I've already made that video for you. You go over there, you little rascal. But if you do know how to make a bowl already, let's get started. Potter tip. Technically speaking, you can do the technique that I'm about to show you with a regular bowl just like this, but the technique doesn't look that good. You see, there's nothing really wrong with this bowl per se. It looks like a perfectly fine bowl, but for the technique that we'll be doing today, you're gonna want to stretch this out a little bit more. Imagine more of a ramen bowl or a V-bowl type shape than you would a bell bowl type shape. This is more the shape that's appropriate for the trick that I'm teaching you today. Now this is one of the easiest tricks that I know to make your bowls a little bit more interesting. All you have to do is get either your right hand or your left hand, right? You know, just both. Just wet that hand up and put your fingers like this. Go ahead and pretend that some dude sent you an unsolicited pic and you're like, that's it? Now put your wet fingers on the edge of this bowl right here, twist your fingers, and pull out. That's literally all you have to do. Trust me, it looks a lot better when you're done. We're gonna do this 3 times in kind of a triangle pattern. Things in the art world kind of move in 3s, 5s, and 7s. For some strange reason, people like it that way, right? So we're gonna do the rule of 3 on this little bowl right here. Like I said, take your fingers, pinch your pot, turn your fingers, and pull at the same time. Keep in contact with the bowl, and just let go. Again, just for an up close and personal example, you get your fingers, you twist as you pinch, just like this, and you turn your fingers as you go. So one portion of the clay is going that way, while the other is going this way, kind of in a twisting motion. Turn the bowl 1/3 of the way, wet your hand, and do it one more time right here. Turn it 1/3 of the way again, and do it one last time right here. Put a little bit of flavor in there just to make it interesting. And that's it. That's the entire trick. Now you actually have an interesting bowl instead of the same bowl that people are selling at arts and crafts tables over and over and over again. Now you have something that's pretty eye-catching. Potter tip. I know I said this over and over again in the beginner playlist, but before you go, make sure that you get your sponge and you very lightly just let this wet sponge ride along the rim of your bowl. This is especially important for this technique simply because you're gonna leave some finger marks, you're gonna leave some smudge prints, and you're gonna leave a little bit of the extra human element on this bowl. And if you want it to look a little bit cleaner and you want to use it, just go ahead and clean that right off. You technically don't even have to spin like this. I just like to do this because it's easier. You could technically just get a sponge and do a little bit of this. This is an extremely simple and easy technique, and all I really did is wet my hand, pinch off the base of the clay, twist and pull as I came off the rim. That's all I did. I know you guys don't see me make these very often, but I use this technique all the time. I do stuff off camera without telling you. You're not my dad. This is the main way that I use this technique, but this isn't the only way you can use this technique either. I have one more trick up my sleeve to show you guys, but it's pretty much the same trick in a different pattern. You see, you don't really have to follow that triangle pattern that I just showed you. While that is the most basic shape that I usually use for these bowls, you can very easily put them in a row and they look just as good.
12 seconds later.
You see, you can very easily pull off one of these by taking that same trick that I just showed you and just putting it in a pattern and going 1, 2, 3. You can very easily make a bowl that looks like this with the same trick that I just showed you. You don't really have to follow that triangle pattern that I just gave you. All you gotta do is go 1, 2, 3, just in a row. Me showing you this little trick is really just a way for me to give you a tool so that you can be a little bit more creative and inventive with your artwork. Heck, you can put them all over this bowl if you want to. It's your artwork. You can do what you want. Well, thank you, Dirty Potters, for joining me today. I really just wanted to show you guys one little trick that I know to make bowls look a little bit different, because I think I speak for a large majority of the ceramic art world when I say I'm tired of seeing the same exact bell bowl shape over and over and over again. The one caveat to this is that you will have to make your bowl a little bit more V-shaped than a bell shape. So if you only know how to make a bell-shaped bowl, well, it's time to take your metal rib and kind of just compress down that side as you're spinning it, and it'll become a little bit more V-shaped. I like when you guys send me messages and you're like, my teacher has no idea where I'm getting all this information from. She's like, who are you learning from? I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you, Dirty Potters, next week. Oh, hey!